The next sector we're going to talk about is legal services, or I could even generalize it and talk. This could be applicable to any kind of firms providing professional services. A challenge that we've seen, and in this case as well, the challenge that this particular client was having was with data discrepancy. Here, the example was the legal uh, firm. They were using multiple tools. They were having a CRM system. They had Excel. They had Google Forms for people to collect information. Even in terms of revenues, they had a billing tool. They had HR system. The issue with this multiple collection points, what happens is if you have a CRM tool, it's easy to identify a customer in a CRM tool. But if your field reps are going out on the field and they're collecting also new customers on Google Forms or any other methods, there could be a discrepancy where the information on CRM might not match the information that you have on Google Sheet. Or if you're using a billing tool and a CRM tool, the information on the billing tool might not match the information on the CRM tool. So it's an issue where the same customer is displayed in different ways in different locations. And this is what we were trying to solve with this particular client. And again, the second item we were trying to solve is a redundancy in bill items. A lot of things, a lot of projects that these legal services providers were doing, those were billable items for their customers. But since it's a manual approach of deciding what items are billable and what items are not billable, they ended up losing revenue out there. So this is the two areas what we identified where there was a loss. Either there was a revenue loss or there was information loss. So when we started with this project, our approach was trying to make sure we identify the struggle areas for this client. What are the two areas the client wants to improve? They want to make sure that the revenue is generated and at the right time when required, and they want to make sure that there's no information disparity. With that two broad areas of investigation, we found out where the revenue loss was happening. There were work items which were supposed to be billed, not billed. Either there were work items that needed to be charged at a certain hourly rate based on the employee who was working on, but they were not charged with that particular rate. Or there were invoices which were left unpaid for more than X number of days, and no one was aware about that. And the same on the information run. There were missing contacts, information, which were never sent to sales team so that they could follow up because maybe the contacts were missing phone numbers or they were missing company names and the sales team could not do due diligence to go ahead and approach them. Or there was just missing information across different systems, making it difficult to identify which of them was high paying customer, which one was not a high paying customer. For this problem, what we ended up doing was we started with data aggregation. First, we were like, let's go ahead and collect all the data into one single source, that is collect data. Once we had that, we had to figure out what is a common link between these data disparity sources. Email address is one unique identifier that we discovered that remains fairly constant amongst different systems. So email address was identified. In terms of invoices, we realized that the employee is always there. So we could get the hourly rate for the employees. And we can end up creating a central warehouse where all this information talks with each other. Once we had the information, it was easy for us to set certain rules so that when the information was missing, those contacts get flagged in. And if the rates were not right or if the invoices were not paid, those invoices get flagged again. Once we had that, all we had to do was create some dashboards and make sure we send notifications to the client. And this was not a reactive notification, but rather than waiting for the client to get the data at the end of the day, anytime there was a misinformation, if the contact did not have the right details, we sent out the alert right then to the client saying that this contact was missing certain information, or if the hourly rate was not right, we would send out the work items to the client, or if it was not billed, again, we would notify the client right then, so they could go ahead and make changes. With this approach that we ended up taking, the client signed on for a $5,000 package with us, which included data management, dashboard creation, and publication. The potential revenue that we discovered that Click Data helped them gain back is around $40,000 in unbilled items, which were not billed and which finally got billed or got billed later on. This was over a course of a year. And there were around 35,000 potential revenue missing out in contacts, where the contact information was not right. The sales team could not follow up on the prospects, or in future when the prospects don't have enough information, they got notified and they got changed. The return on investment yield is 14x, which again goes to say the same thing that we did on the first piece, where the initial investment might seem time consuming, might seem as a redundant effort here, but once you put in the initial investment, you set up the right automation, you set up the right rules, it gets back the return within no time.